What's going on, everybody? This Afro think tank. Black boys are being murdered in Mississippi, and no one's talking about it. No one cares. Black boys are being lynched in Mississippi and throughout America, and you only see it every now and then. It pop up on the news. Lynched, like actually hung from trees. They're finding black boys and black girls hung from trees in 2026. The lynchings have never stopped. Where white people are allowed to thrive without being watched, they tend to do evil shit. And Mississippi is one of those states, which is the worst state in America, by the way. Worst state in America. Why? Because the Republicans, the ones that all these coonarian-ass black coons support, the white supremacists, which makes no sense, and they still haven't explained it, right? The white supremacist party who controls Mississippi, they still participate in antebellum-like activities because they're still, as far as they're concerned, they're the Confederacy. They just have to call themselves an American state. These white people, left unchecked, continue to murder black people. It's just they have a propensity to do it. They're murder and they're getting away with it. Don't you find it suspicious that all of these black boys every week, every month, found a black boy in a tree, found a black boy in the woods, found a black boy here, and like we don't put the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 together. You see, the media ignores what white people do because they don't want to hold white people accountable. The media is owned by white men, therefore they don't want to hold white men accountable. That's why white men commit the majority of the crimes, yet they project the majority of the crime statistics on black people when in fact they are the ones committing the majority of the crimes. We have white people in control of state governments with no federal oversight. Mississippi law enforcement, which is a criminal, racist, neo-Nazi gang organization, are not being watched by the federal government. There is no oversight. That means you have white men with badges and guns and the authority of their God, as far as they're concerned, to do anything they want, to be judge, jury, and executioner for any black person that makes them feel, uncomfortable. We have to do something about the scourge of white men in America. We have to do something about the scourge of white men on the planet because it's a scourge. It's a scourge. Because wherever white men go, the same thing happens. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. That anywhere a cluster of white men go, they do and participate in the same activities. Tell me that I'm lying. Tell me that I'm a black racist because I'm pointing out what white people do. Call me a racist because I'm holding white people accountable for the murders and the rapes and the lynchings and the racism and the institutionalized discrimination and the systematic injustice that they perpetrate amongst on the people every single. Tell me I'm racist for calling out the truth, because that's how terrible these people are. They're so terrible that calling out their terrible activities is deemed racist to them and unfair. Their feelings get hurt when you call out what it is that they're doing, because they want to be able to murder, rape, and kill without being held accountable. They don't believe that anybody should be able to tell them that they can't rape, murder, and kill. They can't dive into their impulses. They have no impulse control. They get to act upon all of their subhuman, barbaric, Neanderthal freaking emotions, and the world is just supposed to accept it. If your son die, he just died. If your daughter get raped, she just get raped. Deal with it. Suffer it. That's America. Keep your mouth quiet. Shut up and dribble. Shut up and play football. Shut up and box. Shut up and don't talk about what us white people are doing at every level. At the lower class, at the middle class, at the upper middle class, at the upper class, at the upper class, at the elite class. Every class. Cultural consistency. Criminals. The governments is criminals. Most white Western European governments are criminals. The UN is a criminal organization. A group of pan-Europeans who got together to subjugate the rest of the world and try to make it look kosher and shit. Everything about white people in white Western culture is a crime against humanity. Your existence is an abomination on life. White people's existence is an abomination on life. It's an abomination against all thing that's good. That's white people, not Europeans. I'm talking about white people. Y'all know the white people, the ones created in the 1600s. That group, that political organization, that capitalistic organization called white people. Anyway, we need to keep this in the ether. Our black boys, our black girls are in danger in the middle of America where there's no black people. Well, in Mississippi, there's a lot of black people, actually. But they're surrounded by way too many white people. Way too many white people that would just wish they could just re-enslave them niggas. They really wish they would absolutely, these white people would absolutely re-enslave us if they could in 2026. They really honestly would do it. Anyway, they're barbarians for a reason. They're savages for a reason. They're subhumans for a reason. They are barbarians for a reason. Just because you invent or participate in building technologies doesn't make you an advanced human being. These people are barbaric savages with advanced technology, which is absolutely terrible. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comment section. It's time for Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Stop. Black Americans are being hunted and murdered in Mississippi. I'm going to say that again because it's horrifying, and the mainstream media is too busy allowing the Trump administration to dominate the news cycle, lying about the economy, downplaying the war, ignoring the health outbreaks, and the upcoming healthcare cuts to take even a moment to talk about the Black people being targeted for death in the state of Mississippi. And before you say I'm being hyperbolic about this, if we had this many unexplainable deaths of white children happening in one state, you know the media would be losing their collective minds. One beautiful white girl was killed by an undocumented immigrant, and the Republican Party ran their entire election and then wrote an aggressive immigration bill in her name. But we are watching Black person after Black person after Black person lose their lives under unexplained circumstances, many of them being found strung up in trees, and no foul play is being called by the police or the medical examiner or any investigative reporters. I need you to stay with me on this because I understand this is very uncomfortable, but it is essential that we understand what is really happening, especially if you look like me or you live in the South or you have a family member or you yourself are in law enforcement. When someone Black ends up hung for no discernible reason in questionable circumstances with no indication the victim was suicidal, that's what's called lynching. But when this happens in a state that refused to pass a standalone anti-lynching bill in 2026, the state that didn't ratify the 13th Amendment formally abolishing slavery until 1995, 130 years after it was passed by Congress, and didn't even make it official until 2013 because of a clerical error, when this kind of thing happens in the state that recorded more lynchings than any U.S. state between 1882 and 1968, with at least 581 documented racial terror killings, the only state that banned Sesame Street because they didn't like white and Black children being shown playing together, then you start to see a pattern and a major problem. The adults in charge of Mississippi seem determined to keep their generations of hate and division going strong, and people are dying because of it. We have endless media discussion and laws and attention paid to the 14 trans people who might want to play college sports in America. We have multiple made-up think pieces about the unacceptable rise of non-existent communism. But 10 Black people found hanging from trees in one state isn't a cause for concern? Why? We know why. And to be clear, it looks like at least 13 Black people have been found hanging from trees in this country since September 2024, most of them declared self-inflicted by authorities. But the Black community has been determined to point out that Black people do not hang themselves from trees, that historically, that is something that has been done to them. And we know that because one of the most recent deaths was Tysa Fortune, who was found hanging so high in a tree that the authorities needed a fire truck to get her down. It's pretty obvious that girl didn't do that to herself, but who did? Who would be able to do such a thing? And why did no one see anything? Because that's odd, right? Especially when we can track pretty much anyone anywhere now with those horrible flock cameras. But in this case, nothing. And when these deaths are ruled a suicide or alternatively, not foul play, no one ends up looking for the commonality between the deaths. Evidence isn't collected or compared. A pattern isn't established. If these hangings had been ruled murders or even cause of death unknown, then maybe there would be some progress in justice. But here, no, nothing. Remember, this is the same state, and in many cases, the same medical examiner who seemed incredibly cagey on the recent death of Nolan Xavier Wells, the brilliant, beautiful Black teenager who went missing and then was found dead after going out with his white friends on the 4th of July. The same white friends who came home without him, the same ones who can't get their story straight, and the same ones who one of their moms is a local judge. In fact, I think the country's preoccupation with the death of Nolan Wells is surprising to the powers that be in Mississippi, because Black people have been ending up dead in their state since forever, and things just move along, but not this one. Because the world is watching this one now, and there's a lot more questions than there are answers. Mississippi needs to be on every American's radar because Black people are being murdered there. Because there is no federal oversight on local law enforcement, because so far we don't even have media coverage or congressional action. As Reverend Whitfield of Gulfport, Mississippi, a very close friend of the Wells family, recently said, justice cannot thrive in the shadows. When an 18-year-old's life is lost under troubling circumstances, transparency is not a privilege to be granted. It is a public obligation. We owe Nolan Wells and his family and every citizen nothing less than a complete, impartial, and transparent investigation. Truth is the foundation on which justice stands. Every single person who ends up dead, no matter their creed, their color, their religion, whatever, deserves this kind of attention. It's just that Black people in Mississippi rarely get it, and none of us should be okay with that. There are people right now living among us who are lynching Black people. And if you know someone who is doing this, think someone might be doing this, have any information on what might be going on, then you need to speak up. And I understand that's hard in a state like Mississippi when it's often assumed that law enforcement and the justice system are complicit, but then go to the FBI. And I know the FBI is a shell of what it once was, but we cannot continue to do nothing. I would also like to remind you that in recent statewide elections, Democrats came within 3 percentage points of winning in Mississippi. Like many southern states, Mississippi is not red, it is blue suppressed, which means Mississippi is not irredeemable, but it needs our attention because this is what systemic racism looks like in practice. This is what happens when racism is built into a system brick by brick. And this is what must finally come to an end. The time has come to stop turning a blind eye. The time has come for justice.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.